Hello, my name is Brigid Tuck, and I'm with University of Minnesota Extension's Center for Community Vitality. Our goal in the center is to engage Minnesotans to help build their civic, social, and economic capacity in their communities. In so doing, we have what we call our Leadership and Civic Engagement area. We have for many years in the state of Minnesota been offering our Bridging Leadership programs. Leadership experts have identified two different kinds of social capital. One is bonding capital. Bonding takes place typically in that capital between people who have similar backgrounds or share commonalities. So if you think about people that you have a lot in common with, you can quickly bond, you can quickly form strong relationships, and they can be very helpful in terms of personal crisis. If you have something going on in your life, you can turn to those folks that you are closely bonded with for assistance. But they also identify bridging capital. And bridging capital is really about working with folks from diverse backgrounds, people maybe you don't share a lot in common with. And bridging can be very important, that capital, when trying to address more systemic issues or looking at opportunities at a larger level. For example, in our small towns in Minnesota, we're all in the same county, but from an early age, maybe we learned to cheer against each other in our sporting events and kind of have a good-natured rivalry going with our other communities. So they may feel different to us, but we at a county level oftentimes are facing a lot of the same issues. Right now, that might be workforce issues or daycare challenge shortages or those kinds of things. We're all facing the same issues. And so having that bridging capital, being able to come together with people who look a little different, that have a diverse background from us, can really help us be able to capitalize on some of the opportunities and address some of those issues at the county level. In recognition of this, about 20 years ago, University of Minnesota Extension started our Bridging Leadership programs. And our Bridging Leadership programs really are meant to do that, to go across communities in a county, bring them together, bring people together from diverse backgrounds and start to build those networks and that bridging capital. The way this is done is the leadership program is formed. It starts in September in the fall. It runs for 9 months. Participants, usually there are about 20 to 25 participants per group. They meet 9 times, so once a month. In the morning, they will have a leader go deep on the leadership topics. So we'll have a leadership expert come in, whether that's leading with ethics or asking good questions or understanding your leadership style. Those are some of the topics that will be explored in the morning session. And then in the afternoon session, participants go around to the community that they're in and learn more about that community. So they visit businesses or visit key community organizations. And each month, the leadership program is held in a different community in the county. So over time, you really get to understand and see the opportunities and the resources available at that county level and really get to know your other communities in order to build that bridging capital. One of the really cool things about the Bridging Leadership programs as modeled in Extension is that it's really community driven. So if a community is interested in starting a bridging program, they form a local design team, and that team makes the important decisions about what the program is really going to look like in their community. From there, then, once the program is up and running, a steering committee is formed, and that steering committee is really the folks who continue to drive the program. They make the plans for those day-long sessions in each community. They look at what businesses are going to visit, what kind of networking opportunities are going to be available. So it really is, although Extension is there as a content provider, it really is a community-driven initiative. So McLeod for Tomorrow has been meeting since 2008. They've had cohorts going. It's been very successful as a result of some of the stuff that's happening in McLeod for Tomorrow. They have actually gone out and done some other activities. So in addition to the leadership program, they help put on Winterfest, a big festival in the winter. They've hosted a glow run. They have a student scholarship and a little student leadership program as well. So a lot of really great things coming out of the leadership skills that have been learned and those connections that have been made at that county level. We, University of Minnesota Extension, for years have been evaluating the McLeod for Tomorrow program in terms of what the participants are learning. So we asked them kind of to reflect on how they felt going into the program and then how they felt at the end of the program in terms of their leadership skills, in terms of their civic engagement and how they feel engaged in the community. But we were interested in really starting to understand sort of what is the economic value of the program? What is it really contributing? McLeod County has been a supporter of the program over the years and wanted to be able to identify, sort of what has been the value back to the county. So we did two things. We did a survey of the participants. So we surveyed the 154 folks that we had emails for, as well as we did what we call a mind mapping project, where we had folks come in who are really integral in the program, have known the program for a long time, and we asked them to sort of identify what are some of the outcomes that you've seen from the McLeod for Tomorrow program. And then I, as the economist, went back and collected some data to understand what the economic value of that would be. So based on the work that we've done, we came up with 3 conclusions that I want to share with you here. First, we found that the McLeod for Tomorrow program really does increase community engagement. So that's one of the things that we talk about in the bridging programs, is we want people to feel more engaged in their communities, and we find that this is really holding true. So we found one of the great things that we found is just how much increased community volunteering there is. So we asked folks, how much did you volunteer before and then after participating in McLeod for Tomorrow? And you can see here that the training and mentoring was the largest area, with an additional 4 hours a month dedicated to training and mentoring. So this is great news, because this is saying that the folks who are participating in McLeod for Tomorrow, they're learning stuff in the program, but then they're going back into their workplaces and sharing that with others as well. So it's not just being contained to that one participant, but it's being spread throughout the workforce. And on average, participants reported an increase of 12 hours per month of volunteering coming out of the McLeod for Tomorrow program. In addition, there was some increased volunteering with organizations, and then with events like the Winterfest. But I found this quote to be really valuable. I thought this was an interesting quote. Building community passion is hard to quantify its importance in making people feel welcome in town. So it's not only about sort of the participants and their passion, but also being able to share that with others. That is really valuable. We also found that the McLeod for Tomorrow Leadership Program does increase local spending. So I think one of the things we hear a lot in Extension is, I had no idea that this business did XYZ, or I didn't know that the general store also sells greeting cards or has a whole cute little section of goods for sale that I really am going to go back and spend some more time in. And one of the things that, in talking to business owners, is really appreciating the struggles that they have and the need to really support them. So on average, people reported an additional $900 in spending per year with local businesses within McLeod County. They also reported feeling more connected with their community. So again, with the bridging program, the idea is to build networks across people maybe you didn't know before or didn't necessarily have a lot in common with. So we found, which we wanted to find, is that the most connections formed for people were with individuals in other communities. So on average, reporting about 11 new connections with folks from outside their core community, but also making connections with individuals within their own community, and then making some connections with their local elected officials as well. So really starting to build those connections and strengthen, like we said, with the bridging across the county. And I thought this quote, summed it up pretty well. I have met people, had the confidence to do things I might not have done in the past, more than I ever thought in my job in McLeod County. So again, building those connections is helping people to be more efficient and effective at their jobs. Our second key conclusion is that McLeod for Tomorrow Leadership Program does drive economic activity. So we found that folks did actually do better in their jobs as a result of the program. So we found that on average, they reported getting at about $1,000 raise coming out of their McLeod for Tomorrow participation. And I think this quote kind of sums it up. The leadership skills helped me greatly in my job, and it was noticed by leaders in my company, which led to a new job opportunity. So again, those new skills really helping to make more productive workers, and businesses noticing that and then rewarding that as well. And then we also found that participants were going out and forming new economic partnerships and activities. So two folks might meet in a program, get to know each other, and hey, this would be a really good thing that we could do. We should work on this project together. And that was generating economic activity to the tune of about $820 per participant. So what we found is, in total, for every dollar that is invested in McLeod for Tomorrow by by McLeod County, there's $6.70 of economic activity happening in the county. So in 2017, this amounted to about $168,300 worth of economic activity generated due to the program in the county. And what's included in that? So we looked at both benefits and costs. So in the benefits, we looked at that salaries and new economic ventures. We looked at the value of the volunteer hours, additional volunteer hours. We looked at increased local spending, and then we looked at the dollars invested in the program. So the leadership, the Winterfest, those kinds of things. And then from a cost perspective, we looked at the investment by McLeod County and then the investment by the individual participant as they do pay a fee to participate in the program. We also wanted to look at the value of the program over time. So we had that annual figure, but we wanted to look at the program's been in existence since 2008. So we wanted to see how has that happened over time. We did have to factor in two things. So we factored in the time, inflation in there, but we also factored in that somebody who's 10 years out from their participation in McLeod for Tomorrow, they've maybe incorporated a lot of their leadership skills into their skill set. And so perhaps they're not, it's just kind of the default new person that they are, and they aren't reaping more benefits. So over time, sort of the benefits of the program dissipate to that participant. So when we did that adjustment, we found that over the period of existence for McLeod for Tomorrow, it has generated $555,400 worth of economic activity in McLeod County. And our third conclusion is that it really does create public value. So when we're talking about public programs, something that's supported by the county, you want to know that the value and the benefit of the program accumulates to more than just the participants, right? So this investment that's being made on behalf of the county is also percolating over to other county residents and not just to the folks that are involved in the program. And so that's kind of this idea of public and private value. So private value is the things that accumulate to the individual participant. So like in this case, those salary increases would be considered private value, right? They're getting something. That economic venture, that would be private value to the people that are participating in the program. Public value, however, is things like their increased spending at businesses, because that's helping those businesses. And the increased volunteer hours would be public value because they're helping to put on great new events. They're helping to drive some of the other things that are happening in the county. So there's public value and private value, and we wanted to be able to sort of measure those two different things. We knew from our evaluations that it leaned towards there being strong public value coming out of the program. So this shows the outcomes from the 2017-2018 McLeod for Tomorrow evaluation. And you can see the highest scores. Basically, it shows their change from before the program to after the program. And so the highest increases were in areas like a shared vision for the future, so that community piece, or civic engagement, feeling more engaged in their communities. Both of those kind of indicate public value, and those were the strongest gains. And then some of the things that are a little bit more private value for the participant, like self-awareness, self-efficacy, those had a little bit of lower scores. So indicating that this program does have a public value. And then that was carried out or seen in our results as well. So the total value, again, was $168,300. But you can see there that it was really the public value was $134,600. And that's a return for every dollar invested by McLeod County. It's $8.30 of public value generated. And then the private value was much smaller at about $33,000. And again, for every dollar invested by McLeod for Tomorrow, or by McLeod County, $3.90 in economic activity generated. So again, really pointing out that that value is really strongest from the public value piece, which is what you want to happen if you're making a public investment. So that's just kind of a summary of our research. We do have a full report available on our website, and we have more information available if you want to contact me with any questions. But I thank you for your time today.